So my name is Rere. If you guys don't know, I'm the youth pastor here at TC, and I see Jordan laughing. My predecessor. Yeah, I feel you. So today I will be sharing about one main takeaway, and that is that God will equip you and use you. Now, before I continue, there is one question I want to ask everybody in this room, and that is, was there a time in your life that you went through something, and then looking back after all of that has happened, you think to yourself, okay, God put me through that for this exact moment. That God made me go through all the hardships and all the mountains and the valleys for this exact moment. Have you ever had a time? Raise your hand if you ever had a time like where you realized that. Oh, almost all of you. That's awesome. Well, for me, the earliest memory I had of that exact moment was when I was in high school. And when I was in high school, I feel like everybody who went through high school here had to have either, they had to take a Bahasa Indonesia class or an English class or both, right? Now, I hated taking the English class because I did not like writing essays. I did not like writing, nor do I like reading. So as a pastor, that's kind of like a hazard for my job, right? So, but at that point, I went through it. If there's anything that high school taught me is how to write, and even to write more just to fill out that word count, right? Than the requirement. So that's something that like high school taught me. But then little did I know, I took audio engineering and music for college, but then my first job, my first offer was actually as a content writer for an events blog, which is so far away, so left field. So little did I know that moment in high school that I dreaded so much led to my first job. And then my first job led to me gathering my connections from music, and my connection from music led to my deep love for worship, and that led me to where I am here today. So you guys see the pattern, right? Like sometimes we don't know how God is equipping us until we're at the exact moment where, God is using us for it. Now, to head into the Bible, I wanted to share deeply on a character that I hope everyone here knows about. He goes by the name of Moses. And specifically, I want to talk about the time where he had grown up a bit, not too old, but like the second chapter of his life, I would say. And it comes from Exodus chapter 2, verse 11 to 15, where he flees to Midian after killing an Egyptian. Spoiler. So the verse says, one day after Moses had grown up, he went out where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Very brutal. Very brutal. The next day he went out and saw two Hebrews fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew? The man said, who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian? Then Moses was afraid, who wouldn't be, and thought, what I did must have become known. What I did, other people must have heard about already. When Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. Now I'm going to stop right there, but basically summarize what happens next. So at this point, Moses is fleeing. He's scared, and he flees to Midian. And the thing is, who here knows what happened after he led the people free from Egypt? No one? Okay. So he led the people in the desert for how long? Anybody knows? 40 years. But the crazy thing is, before that, he was in Midian as a shepherd for how long? 40 years. Which meant that he led the sheep first for 40 years before he was able to lead the people for 40 years. So you see how God is really trying to equip all these people first. That's my number one. My number one point is that God will equip you for all that He has in store. So whenever you are being equipped, or you feel like God's putting you in a season where He's equipping you, no matter how hard it is, don't worry about not being able to go through it. Because Paul even says in 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13, the temptations in your life are no different than what others experience. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than what you can stand. In other words, God will never put you through something that you can't handle. So if He's trying to equip you, let Him do it, right? Now, when we're being equipped, there will always be times where things don't go according to plan, where things don't go our way. And instead of trusting God and letting Him use us as He equips us, we often try to call Him out because things don't go our way. Now, who has ever gone through that, where you just call God out, right? And that leads me to my second point, which is the second part of the main point, which is God is using you, not the other way around. God is using you, not the other way around. And going back to the Bible, I'm going to fast forward to when God spoke to Moses in the burning bush. It says, "Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people Israel out of Egypt." But then Moses protested to God, "Who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people out of Israel out of Egypt?" God answered, "I will be with you, and this is your sign that I am the one who has sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God at this very mountain." But then Moses protested again. "If I go to the people of Israel and tell them, 'The God of your ancestors has sent me to you,' they will ask me, 'What is His name?' Then what should I tell them?" God replied to Moses, "I am who I am." And the thing is, Moses asked for a name because at the time then, many believed in different gods, and they would use their names to summon those gods. And those gods are even known as, for example, God of mountains, God of rain. They use them for different names. But the thing is, at this point, God is saying, "I am who I am," because God is saying, you don't get to summon me. You don't get to call my name. You don't get to use me. I'm the one using you, right? And at the end of the day, everything that God put me through has brought me where I am today. Everything that God has equipped me for, everything that God has, journeyed with me through, has led me to where I am today. I didn't think I was going to be a youth pastor, not in a million years. But that's how God equipped me to be where I am today. And so my point is that in whatever season that we are in, be sure to remember to surrender to Him and let Him equip you and use you. Thank you very much.